Hello and welcome to episode 47 of the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Howard Kravitz. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Many things we got to do. First of all, make sure you know the drill. Hit that subscribe button on the right side of the screen. Without you, we wouldn't have a show. So please make sure you hit that subscribe button. And after you do that, hit the notification bell so that you know when new content is going to arise. Also, smash that thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate that as well. There's a lot of ways that you can reach me as I go ahead and put the scroll on the bottom of the screen. You can follow me on Twitter at HKravitz. I just sent out, ladies and gentlemen, I'm in a good mood, a $40 pick four ticket that I just threw together, hit for $9.62 at Belmont. Hello. I've got some money for the weekend. I'm in a good mood. Follow me on Twitter. A lot of great information. Again, that's at HKravitz. Also, you can email me, hkravitzhorse@gmail.com. Again, hkravitzhorse@gmail.com. We got a lot of exciting things happening on the show, and I really need your support out there on this channel. I don't know if you've seen the screen, the scroll there at the bottom of the screen, but we're not waiting till next Thursday for our next live stream. Next Tuesday, you're thinking, why are we doing this on a Tuesday? And guess what? It's going to be early in the morning. That's right. It's breakfast at Royal Ascot. I'm going to be live, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you wake up. Listen, you don't want to miss it. Live Tuesday morning. It's going to be 6 a.m. Central Standard Time. I know that's early, 7 o'clock on the East Coast. Listen, Royal Ascot starts at 9:30 a.m. on the East Coast on Tuesday. I'm going to have a guest, one of the best pro handicappers, or as they call them, punters in the UK, I've got on the show to help us handicap Royal Ascot early Tuesday morning. Please wake up. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be fantastic. Also, I have some great guests coming up. I haven't announced this yet, coming up very soon, Eddie Olczyk. That's right. Enzo from NBC Sports does a great job with their horse racing analysis. Of course, he was an excellent pro hockey player. He's on NBC Sports and covers hockey as well. Eddie Olczyk will be a guest on this show in the next few weeks. And in July, Andy Serling is coming up on the show. Folks, I'm lining up the best guests that I can possible, but I cannot do it without your support. So again, please make sure you hit that subscribe button on the right side of the screen. I can't thank you enough, but I do need your support and help to keep this show going. Also, as you see on the bottom of the screen, I've started a race day blog. It's very cheap. It's only $12.99 a month. You get one every weekend. In fact, I sent out 2 this past weekend. It's only about $3 a month. The information there is on the screen, or you can go down below the video player in the description after the show. Again, after the show on YouTube, look below the video player in the description. You can see all the information on how to sign up for my race day blog. It's a great deal. It also benefits the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation. So not only are you getting great picks and information, you're also donating a little bit to charity as well. Again, you can see the information there on the screen, and detailed information will be in the description below the video player of this YouTube channel. Also, you can follow me. I cover Canterbury Park Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Go to inthemoneypodcast.com. It is free. I write for In the Money Podcast blog, and you can see my picks on Canterbury Park. It's a great track. You can find me there as well. So we got a lot of things going on, folks. Just because the Triple Crown season is over doesn't mean you should stop watching. It means you should be watching more. We've got Woodbine, by the way. Woodbine starts Saturday. There's a big pick six, $260,000 pick six tomorrow at Belmont. They had a carryover today. So listen, there are a lot of things going on. You got Ascot next week. The beat goes on. And then you got Saratoga, Del Mar. Listen, folks, please keep watching the show. Tell all your friends about it. Sign up for the blog. All that other stuff. It would be great. Also, please make sure you comment. There it is. The first comment. See money already here. Time to play. That's right, Triple H. You got it. Time to play We're going to play a lot of games tonight. We're going to try to play the how to hit the pick 5 game at Belmont also this Saturday. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's go and get started. For tonight, no celebrity guests, but listen, I have lined up 3 fantastic viewers. They're all fans of the show. That we're going to have a little roundtable discussion to help us with the pick 5 at Belmont. So let me bring on our 3 wonderful guests, Kyle, Roscoe, Jack Fain, and Pete Visco. Ladies and gentlemen who are watching the show, here they are, our great crew. Guys, thanks for joining. How are we all doing tonight? Let's have a quick whip around. Pete, let me go ahead and take out the common here. I'm also going to take out the scroll. Give me a second, guys, as I do wear many hats. We'll start with Pete. If you could just tell us where you're from and what you do.
Sure. I'm Pete Visco. I actually live outside of Baltimore right now, so sort of a hop, skip, and a jump from Laurel Park, which is actually a really nice track these days. So if anybody ever gets a chance to pop over there. Been here for a while. I grew up in North Jersey, so been going to the track since I think my dad took me when I was 5. So I spent most of my time at the Meadowlands and Garden State and Atlantic City and Monmouth. So all the old classics back in New Jersey. So that's where I sort of got my start. Live in Maryland now, where we have, again, not too far from Pimlico and really close to Laurel. So that's it. That's where I'm at now. And thanks for having me on the show, Howard.
Absolutely. Pete's representing the East Coast. I think, Pete, you've also been on the Matt Bernier show as well, part of the In the Money podcast. So
yes, a couple times.
You are world renowned at this point. Jack Fain, the 6 Cent Man. Jack, why don't you introduce yourself, where you're from, and what you're doing these days?
Sure, Howard. First of all, congratulations on all your recent success. You're just knocking it out of the park. Every show's getting better and better, and we're really enjoying it and learning a lot from you.
Thank you.
Baton Rouge, Louisiana, born and raised. Got away to the West Coast for a while, little California, little Las Vegas, but ended up back in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and the fairgrounds is it for me, brother. I mean, I've made them all in Louisiana Downs, Evangeline Delta, Old Jefferson Downs. That shows you what an old dinosaur I am. Takes you back into the 70s and 80s, the old bull ring, 800-foot stretch. But the fairgrounds is it. Historical, nothing like it. Proud of Louisiana this year. Sent out Mandaloon, Hot Rod Charlie, Midnight Bourbon. And traditionally, I'm not a big fan of the fairgrounds transition to Churchill Downs, but this year they showed up, and proud
Jack,
of.
we got an LSU fan there on the bottom of the screen. See money. There you go. You see on the bottom of the screen. You got some company. Let's introduce the young member of the crew, Kyle Roscoe. Talk about yourself a little bit, where you're from, what you're doing.
I'm from just outside of Chicago. I live right by O'Hare Airport. I am, like he said, born and raised, hop, skip, and a jump away from what used to be one of the biggest tracks in the nation, Arlington Park, as much as I want it to be again. And that's a whole different story. But I'm still in college. I am now going on my last semester of college as a business finance major. And been going to the track ever since, God, I was like 2 feet tall. I was 2 years old, going to Arlington Park, hosting family days and stuff like that. Been getting into handicapping ever since I was about 10 years old. Always been interested in math, and it's always been right up my alley.
Yeah, I met Kyle actually at Arlington. Kyle, tell everyone quickly what you do at Arlington Park.
I now that they've taken it away a little bit, but back in 2019 when I started, I was working as what they call an Arlington University professor. I was the person that taught people how to read the program and taught people what kind of bets they can make and stuff like that. Easily the greatest job I've ever had in my entire life.
Now, Kyle, I know you don't know this. I made a few phone calls. Everyone, your boss, everyone who's watching tonight, if you screw up this pick 5 at Belmont Saturday, I'm not sure you're going to have a job next week. No pressure, though. Don't worry about it. No pressure.
Just a little more added pressure. That's good, yeah.
No, Kyle does a great job there. I had a chance to meet him a few weeks ago, and he does an excellent job as well as all the other Arlington University employees there at the track. All right, so there's your cast and crew, folks. So here's what we're going to do. I have my world-renowned, famous segment that we're going to start very quickly before we handicap. Let me get it up here on the screen. Hold on 1 second as I pull it up. And here it is. It is called 10 minutes to post. 10 minutes to post, ladies and gentlemen. 10 minutes to post. 10 rapid fire questions, gentlemen. Real quick, like one answer or a few seconds. You'll see the questions on the bottom of the screen, and then we'll go into our handicapping. I'll just whip around. Well, I'll tell you what, just to stay in order so we aren't confused. We'll go Pete, Jack, Kyle in that order. Pete, Jack, Kyle in that order for these questions. Gentlemen, are you ready? I've asked Michelle, you, Matt Bernier, Paul Allen. We've had a lot of famous people being asked these questions. So here we go. Real quick, Pete, you'll be first. Favorite track that you've actually attended?
Not so popular now, but I'll go with Monmouth. I just like the look and feel of it, old school track.
The no whip track at this point.
Yeah,
Jack.
not anymore. That's in the past, not the new one.
Jack.
Well, as I stated earlier, my favorite track all time is New Orleans Fairgrounds, but actually my favorite to have attended that just blew me away, it was like going to a full-blown circus, was Hollywood Park in Inglewood, California.
Excellent cushion track. I really liked the cushion track they had there. It's too bad that it's gone by the wayside. Kyle, favorite track?
Sadly, I haven't
been to.
Yeah, sadly, I have not been to too many tracks yet. I've only been to Arlington and Hawthorne. It's got to be Arlington. I mean, it's one of the most beautiful tracks in the country, and as I've said it before, it's sad what's going on now. But I'm actually getting the chance to go to Gulfstream in 2 days, so see how we're gonna see it. Yep, I go this weekend. So
you'll see the construction of the new service they're putting in there on the outer. They're putting in I think it's actually Tapeta. They're putting in on the outer part of the turf course. My favorite track that I've attended by far is San Anita. Absolutely gorgeous. I've only been there once. I can't wait to go back. Next question. The favorite track to bet on, Pete?
I have to say Saratoga now. It used to be Belmont, but after the last few weeks of betting Belmont, it's sort of going the other way. So definitely not Parks, I can tell you that much after the last 2 weeks also. So I'm going to go Saratoga.
Jack?
I've had pretty good recent success in Del Mar, but I would say the New Orleans Fairgrounds is just my bread and butter. It's just where I learned the game and walked in there at 11 years old with my grandmother and my aunt. So
there you go.
Got a little experience with the gray hairs coming in.
Kyle, favorite track to bet on?
As many dollars as I've wasted on $6,000 claimers at Arlington, I would have to say Saratoga as well. My favorite. I love Travers Day.
I will say Saratoga is absolutely the best track to bet on by far. I'll tell you what's getting pretty close for me, though. I don't know about close, but I enjoy Woodbine a lot. They have really big fields. They also have a 20-cent pick 5 where you can spread out. I probably use too many horses because it's a 20-cent. But that's a whole other discussion. Speaking of which, Pete, your favorite type of bet? Are you a vertical or horizontal player?
A lot more horizontal now, so I'll have to say horizontal. I like the pick 5s, although not successfully more often than not, but I have to go horizontal.
Jack?
The older I've gotten, the more I've gone for the kamikaze superfecta, concentrating on major stakes like Breeders' Cups, Kentucky Derbies, and whatever, but sometimes you can blow out 11, 12 to 1 on your money there and make a whole year in one shot. So
absolutely,
kind of concentrate.
Kyle, what about you?
I've always been more of a vertical guy myself, but now I've gotten into Arlington used to have the rolling pick 3, and that used to be my favorite wager.
Yeah, for me it's the pick 5 when that started. I'm a big fan of the pick 5. It's not easy to hit. I lost the pick 5 at Belmont, but then lost the first leg, came back with the pick 4. So there you go, and for 962. Listen, it worked out. Biggest price today in that 962 pick 4 was 8 to 1 on the end, which is just. But this is a good lesson for everyone watching, whether you're live or replays. Some horses won that are bigger morning lines. So if you can find that larger morning line, it really steps up in the parlay in the horizontal bet. All right, Pete, next question. The best or most memorable horse racing event you've ever attended?
Oh, boy, that's a good one. The best or most memorable. I'm going to go to something that nobody's going to know. It's I watched the world record at the Meadowlands. My cousin and we watched the harness world record, and it was just great because I can't remember who it was. It might have been Art's Place. Not that a lot of people know the harness horse, but it was just great to be there live. And we were so into harness back then that it was great to watch a world record and just see the when you see the time flash on the board, it was just
now
really,
was that a sub 150 then or no?
yeah, it was 149 and change.
There
So
you
I
go.
don't remember. It's probably like 149 and 2, but just getting under that 150 in
Oh
person
yeah.
first time was awesome.
It's sort of like Roger Bannister breaking the 4 million. It was one of those. It's a big deal in harness racing. I enjoy harness also.
Yeah, now 147 in like claiming races, which is pretty sad. But
Yeah, no, they've gone a lot faster. Kyle, I'm sorry, Jack.
Yeah, it'd be a 1983 Super Derby at Louisiana Downs. Used to be a $500,000 race for many years. That was one of the early ones. And first horse I ever really touted in my life seriously is a horse called Sonny's Halo, who had won the Kentucky Derby. And he got in there as a third choice in about a 7-8 horse field and 9-2. Drew off by about 9 lengths, and I blasted him. So that's what gave me an ounce of confidence that maybe I could do something with this crazy score.
You know, it used to be a big race. It's a shame it's not as big as it used to be. That used to be a real big race down there.
Really
at the end of the year, especially. Kyle, go ahead.
Sadly, I haven't been able to get around that much, as I've said before, but watching Bricks and Mortar split those horses at the top of the stretch in the 2019 million was something to see for sure.
Yeah, for me, I know a lot of people watching this show are going to be very surprised by this. I've not been to a Derby, and I've not been to a Breeders' Cup. So I'm hoping to go to both those next year, but I would say I've been to the last about 15 Arlington Millions. For me, it's got to be one of the millions. I'm not sure. I was there, unfortunately, when Gary Stevens got injured. I believe it was early 2000s. Or I'm not actually sure the year. That was sort of scary. He ended up being okay, but he actually fell like towards right by the wire. I think it was on Storming Home, I think was the name of the horse. But anyway, there was an inquiry. That was sort of scary, but I wouldn't say that was the most memorable. But I would say one of the more recent Arlington Millions. Bricks. And by the way, domestic spending, Kyle, I don't know if you heard, but Chad Brown said domestic spending is coming to, not the million, but he's coming to Arlington supposedly in August. So that'll be really exciting to see for us who are fans of Arlington and domestic spending. All right. Similar question. Non-horse racing event ever attended, Pete?
Oh, God. Jeez.
I'll tell you what, after this question, Pete, I'll reverse the order. So you don't do the first one. How's that?
That's a tough one right there. I'm going to go with, actually, the coolest event and one of the most fun events I went to Penn State and went down to Miami and saw Penn State play Miami in the old Orange Bowl. And it was just one of the loudest stadiums I've ever been in, the most fun environments. And we went in and upset them at the time. And I'm not even a Penn State fan, really, but it was just a great environment and one of the most memorable days.
I've heard two things about the Orange Bowl. Not in a great area and sort of a crappy stadium, but the atmosphere is fantastic. Does that sum it up pretty well?
All of that is 100% right. When you have enough beers, anything is fun. But, it was a really great place.
Jack?
Ooh, I wish I could go on record and say a Miley Cyrus concert.
That's all right. Listen, you can go there if you want. I'll tell you what. Are we going to leave it at that?
Unfortunately, that's still part of my bucket list. So I'm going to go with a magic show in Las Vegas called Siegfried and Roy. It was one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life at Mirage Hotel. And luckily, I got shut out. I couldn't get tickets like about 12 times out there. And finally, I got through the back door. And luckily, I did. The show ended with the accident to Roy about 3 years later.
Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah, I never saw that show. Kyle?
I was actually lucky enough back in 2019 to go to back-to-back playoff games for the Cubs, and then I went to I go to college up in Wisconsin, so I got to see the Brewers play 2 straight games. So just like you said, just the atmosphere of playoff baseball is like anything else. It's not like anything else at all.
For me, it's not even close. Game 6, Chicago Bulls against Portland Trailblazers. When the Bulls won the championship, they came back down 15 in the fourth quarter to win. I think it was their 4th of 6 championships. That's when Michael Jordan jumped on the scorer's table and waved his arms after the game. I had a $30 standing room only ticket. Those were the days, guys, back in the 90s. But that place, the old stadium, man, that was an unbelievable atmosphere. All right. Bucket list track or race day event you'd like to attend. Kyle, I'll have you go first. It could be anywhere in the world, a particular track or a day at the track.
As much as I want to say something overseas, as I've said, I would want to go to Saratoga so bad, and just Travers Day is just a highlight of that, and just I would love to go see Saratoga.
Jack?
I guess it'd be the Kentucky Derby. That's one I haven't made, and obviously a fantastic event. I hope to get it in one time.
Pete?
I'm going to go with any Breeders' Cup. Doesn't necessarily matter where, but I'd like to potentially West Coast. Unfortunately, not to go long, but we actually, myself and the two guys I bet with, we had Derby tickets this year. Everything was booked, and we had hotels, tickets, flights, and everything were booked, and it got canceled. So lifelong dream, never got a chance to go to the Derby, finally book it, and unfortunately, COVID happens.
And I'm going to say something real quick to that. I had the same exact thing. I had tickets, hotels, everything, and it got canceled.
Yeah. And actually I'm a micro share. Actually, I shouldn't say this year, obviously last year. I was a micro share owner of Authentic. So it has been awesome to be there for that, even though I'm not a Baffert fan, but once you have a couple bucks invested, it makes it a little better.
I don't think we're going to see Bob Baffert horses in the Derby for at least 2 years, it looks like.
That's good.
For me, it's the Derby. I mean, but Breeders' Cup weekend would be a close second. And then overseas, I talked about this with a few people on the show. Melbourne Cup looks like an unbelievable amount of fun. All I've heard about the Melbourne Cup is it makes the Kentucky Derby look like a small little get-together. So it's literally the race that stops the nation. That's what it's called. It's crazy. And I'd love to go to Australia, or Ascot, of course, would be amazing too. All right, so let's move this along. We could talk forever. Real quick, who would you prefer or cheer for? Kyle was just a young man when this was going on. Oh, is that Zenyatta back there?
Yes, it is.
All right, that's an easy answer. Jack?
I actually touted Rachel Alexander in the Preakness, and I did catch her. Got to see her run in New Orleans Fairgrounds. Unfortunately, she was a little over the top that following year. But I saw almost all of Zenyatta's races, even down to the minor allowances when she just kept rolling and rolling and rolling. And I had this horse. I must have called this horse dead at the far turn 8 times and had to eat my words.
Yep.
It was just unbelievable. And even that race where Blaine beat her in the Breeders' Cup, that's one of the greatest efforts I've ever seen in my life from any racehorse.
Pete?
Yeah, I'm definitely Zenyatta. You can't see mine. Mine's on a wall over there, but I have a picture of Zenyatta back on the wall. And I love closers, and she's probably my second all-time favorite horse.
Well, let me. I was going to switch the screen. I respect what Zenyatta's done. I'm a huge Rachel fan. She's my number one favorite horse of all time. I just think that 3-year-old season, especially that she had, was just absolutely amazing. Just spine tingling, winning by track record time, winning by 20. I mean, I love Zenyatta, but for me, it's Rachel. All right, Kyle, which one would you prefer? You had one ticket, only one of these. Where are you going? That's
so. I would probably say Breeders' Cup weekend. Just from. Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, that's all right. I just want to try to move it along. Sorry, Jack.
As much as I want to see the Kentucky Derby, which I never have in person, I've got to go with Breeders' Cup weekend. Those are just so exhilarating and such great betting opportunities. And see all the foreign contingent come in against the Americans. It's quite a spectacle.
Pete?
Yep. Make it unanimous from us three.
Yeah, and I asked Matt Bernier. Matt Bernier took about a half a second to answer this question. He's like Breeders' Cup, without a doubt. I agree, Breeders' Cup, as much as I would love to go to the Derby. All right, we have 2 more questions left, ladies and gentlemen. Again, if you're watching the show, appreciate your patience just to learn a little more about these guys. Make sure you're typing in comments there on the right side of the screen. You can ask these guys questions about anything we're talking about. And then, of course, when we get into the handicapping, I'm assuming many of you have not looked at the Pick 5 like we have. So as we go through the races, feel free to ask any angles or questions of these gentlemen after we have 2 more questions left. Kyle, we don't have to give dollar amounts, gentlemen. I would never hold your feet to the fire on that. But what type of bet was your biggest score?
I actually, as working at the university, I gave out and played a straight high 5 bet for $1.
Wow.
And I'll never do it again.
Straight?
Straight high five.
Wow. Jack?
I thought in 2017 Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf, I had Lady Eli on the ropes. So I unloaded about everything I had, plus sold a little jewelry, and blasted a superfecta. Had it 12 times for about $9,000 on the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf 2017 Belmont.
That'll work. Pete?
That'll work.
Mine's not as good. Mine's probably actually I had an exacta. It was one of the biggest exactas I ever hit at Royal Ascot a few years ago. So
wow.
Yeah, and there it was one of those 20+ horse fields, so you can really clean up on those, and they just pay, and that was probably the nicest hit I've ever had.
Wow. Mine was the 2017 Kentucky Oaks Day Pick 5. You guys, anyone can look it up. I had a 30-1 shot. I actually talked about it in the show a while back. You could watch. I can't recall the show that I talked about, but it was when Abel Tasman won the Oaks. Who was that year? Capped off. Who was, by the way, like 8-1 that day. Anyway, it capped off a real nice pick 5, my biggest score ever, and a pick 4 actually too. You can look that up. 2017 Kentucky Oaks Day, May 5th actually, Cinco de Mayo. I remember the date very well. All right, last question. This goes to Kyle, and then we'll go ahead and start with our pick 5 handicapping. Kyle, I'm sure you watch a lot of TV. Your favorite personality on TV that covers horse racing. They could be your favorite because you think they're a good handicapper, or they just have a great personality, whatever, sense of humor, whatever it might be. Do you have a favorite?
Yep, both of those things you said first. Eddie Olczyk. I grew up watching him Blackhawks games.
He's coming on the show.
Yep,
I've got a cell number if you want to. You can give him a call.
No, but yeah, I grew up watching the Blackhawks with them and going to horse racing as well. Yeah, I love Eddie O.
Jack?
Well, I enjoy watching Gabby Gaudet and Acacia Courtney for obvious reasons, but my favorite is Todd Trump with TVG. I've just always liked Todd. I like his demeanor and his casual personality about it. He knows the game, but he keeps it very fun and lighthearted, and I enjoy that.
It's a great question. If you're listening live, it's a great question. Or comment down below the video player. Do you have a favorite TV personality that covers horse racing? Please comment on the chat or down below the video player. I think it's an interesting question because there are a lot of more outlets out there than there used to be. Pete, do you have a favorite?
Well, just in case he's watching, I don't want to, tick him off. I'll stick with my man Matt Bernier. Obviously, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And then, but the real answer is probably Brittany Earton, probably for some similar reasons for Jack. But she's also just awesome and just makes the broadcast so pleasant and knowledgeable.
I have a 3-way tie, otherwise I would get in trouble. Actually, 2-way, There's 3 people I really like. Obviously, Matt Bernier and Jonathan Kitchen, I think is outstanding. If I'm watching a turf race, I really like Simon Bray on TVG. I think he has a good knack for the turf horses. He has a good read on them, and I enjoy listening to him as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our 10 minutes to post show. What we're going to do now is handicap the late pick 5. Now, the late pick 5 on Saturday at Belmont, it's an excellent sequence. It starts at 3:34 Eastern Standard Time. And before I show I'm going to put up the form here in just a second. I've got a little surprise for everyone. I need to get it up on screen. I know you guys aren't going to be able to see it, so just give me 1 second. There is a horse in the first leg called Now Yous Can't Leave. And if you are not familiar with this horse, let me tell you a little bit about this, about a little story behind this horse. So, as you folks can see here, I'm going to put it full screen. Now Yous Can't Leave is a line for one of my favorite movies of all time, 1993. This, Kyle's before your time. Maybe you've seen this movie, though. This is a fantastic movie. I actually got the clip from the movie. This is where the horse is named from. Chaz Palminteri plays Sonny. I have the sound on, folks. This is why I'm assuming the owner of the horse Now Yous Can't Leave got it from here. Let's listen in for a little bit.
Now Yous Can't Leave.
There you go. I love it. So there's the background Of course, there's bikers there that misbehaved. Listen, you do not mess. You do not mess with Charles with that guy. And so he told those guys, "Now you're not going anywhere. We're not going to show the rest of it because I try to keep it PG." But let's just say those bikers were in for a lot of trouble after that. Great movie, Bronx Tale. If you haven't watched it, you're missing out big time. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and bring up the past performances. While I do that, Pete, I'm going to actually let you talk here for a minute as I get this up. Talk a little bit your impressions of the pick 5 sequence overall after you handicapped it.
So I thought it was actually, I thought it was pretty solid in terms of there was no, I like the fact that there's no big favorites. So you didn't have like some, potentially 4 to 5 chalk, maybe the first race, but most likely there wasn't like a big favorite. The fields were good. They were deep. As we talked about before the show started, the last couple races didn't have the greatest horses in the world, so made it a little bit more difficult to handicap. But I thought it was a good sequence. I think it's a sequence that could potentially pay out pretty nicely just because of the balance and the not having the big favorites or the definitive winners in any of the races.
I just realized, Pete, and I'm going to have to apologize that when I bring up our picks, your face is going to be covered. I don't know any way around that. I apologize. I won't leave it on the whole time, but I'm just going to leave it on for a little bit so we can see everyone. So there's our picks, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first time now that our guest handicappers have seen each other's picks. Of course, H is Howard, J is Jack, P is, of course, for Pete, and K is Kyle. Jack, I'll let you go first, Jack. You've got 5, 6, 3 in this race, and I'll go ahead and scroll down, and you can talk a little about these horses, and then we'll go Pete, and then we'll go Kyle for this race. Okay. Jack, you're first. Go ahead.
The more I looked at it, the more I kind of became immersed with the 5 Infinite Potential. Klaravich, Chad Brown, Castellano, that's a tough trio, and it just seems like every time you turn around with Chad Brown and Klaravich, they're putting that red and checkered silk into the winner's circle. This horse just seems to lay over the field to me. Raced at Belmont on May the 8th. I like the 4-week turnaround. Carried 125 pounds for 90,000. Was 5 wide, closing into a dead pace with Castellano on good turf. Ran into a 49, 114 and 3/4. And I think Castellano's kind of hungry. I think he's been a little lame for some reason. I don't know what's going on with him, but New York racing is his forte, and I look for him to get the job done here.
Jack, if you'd like, I'll let you talk through this. The 7 here is Infinite Potential, and the 4 in the last here is Now You Can't Leave. Go ahead and just walk through the replay and what you liked about this replay, Jack.
Yeah, like I said, he's just going into that 49 at the half and ranging up. He just seems like he can kind of lay in the deep slot without being quagmired down in the middle.
See, he swings out here.
He tipped out wide. That didn't seem to bother him at all. He didn't lose any momentum as far as I'm concerned. And he's just a stayer. He just keeps plowing on. And to me, he's just, if there's such a thing, a class in this type of field, I think he's the class of the field. I think Castellano's going to want it. And if I had to single in this pick 5, I definitely would go the 5 Infinite Potential.
Yeah, he lost to In Italian, another Chad who's an absolute monster. I just want to bring up something for everyone, and then Pete, I'll let you go ahead and talk about anything you want to add. I just want everyone to watch the 4 Now You Can't Leave, because I don't think he's impossible on Saturday. The jock really never asked. If you just carefully watch behind, he's really not pushing hard. Meanwhile, Infinite Potential is all out. You see, he still really isn't asking there on the 4. He goes left-handed, but he's really not asking for much. And here he just sort of wraps up. It looked like to me a complete prep, and almost like, I'm not saying they weren't trying, but I don't, and you can see there was sort of in hand. I'm not suggesting that Now You Can't Leave is going to break out with a huge effort, but I think he's a little bit interesting because I do think he ran a little bit better than it actually looks. Pete, I'll let you go ahead and talk about some other horses if you'd like, but I also want to mention to everyone, Chad Brown with 4-year-olds Second time start, 40%, guys. 40%. Second time out with a 4-year-old. Pete, what would you like to add to this handicapping puzzle?
Not too much on the 5. I had the same thing. Whereas if we were going to pick a single, I would sort of go with the 5. I think there were 2 next out winners, even behind that horse in that last race you just showed. So
yeah, Traffic Song and Lily Simone both.
Yeah, right. So I think the race
there it is right there. Yeah.
Yeah, the race has come up pretty good. So there's always good stats, like you said. I had a stat on Chad Brown. Won't waste time with it. So I thought he sort of laid over it. I think it's just everybody running for second. But if I had to go, I went with the 6 as my second horse. So if we want to just talk about somebody else, basically it was just the speed angle. There's some speed. Maybe gets loose on the lead a little bit. It maybe just gives everybody else too much to do. There was one stat I had where it was Pletcher was 5 for 8 on maiden special weight turfs with 120 to a 200-day layoff. So it's just a random stat, small sample size, but just shows that he can get him off the bench with no problem, even at this young age, even on the turf, which maybe is not something you would think of. So, and you're throwing Lasix on first time. So probably just someone who could steal it on the front end.
Yeah. What was your stat again? If you could repeat that, Pete, because I have a stat also. I don't know if it's the same one.
Oh, it was 5 for 8 wins, maiden special weight turf with about 120 to 200-day layoff.
Wow, 5 for 8. Wow.
Yeah.
I've got him at 24% off a 6+ month layoff with a maiden on turf. So the bottom line, folks, is he can get a horse ready.
He can get him ready. Yeah, he can get him ready.
I also want to mention about the 6. Actually, I'll let Kyle. Kyle, you've got the 6 for a second. I don't know if you want to talk about the 6 or any of your choices here. You've got 5, 6, 7.
Yep. I was going to bring up actually something on Now You Just Can't Leave, just because how, like you touched on in the video, how he wasn't really asked at all. And that I believe that since he lunged at the start and was so far back, I don't think Luis Saez really wanted to do anything or didn't believe that he could do anything from that far back with this horse. So that's why I threw him in third, just because he lunged at the start, but also he was given the a 67 buyer for that ninth place finish, and that's the second highest out of any of these horses. Yep. All second best to the 5 Infinite Potential, who ran that nice third. And like everyone touched on, 5 closed well into a slow pace, and then the 6, like Pete touched on, I believe the speed angle could easily be taken. I believe the 6 can wire this field, no problem.
Yeah, I have to say, I would not single the 5 in a pick 5. I understand why people would. This is like the moto obvious. I think the 6 has a huge shot. In fact, in my pick 5 ticket, gentlemen, I'm going to weigh the 5 and the 6 evenly as A's. Look who the 6 ran against. The 6 first time out, he was only 5 to 1, or she was only 5 to 1. Lady Spitespear is an absolute monster. I'll just go ahead and show. If you don't remember this horse, she won the Grade 1 Natama after winning her maiden breaker. She was a very nice horse. Regressed a little bit in the second start, but that was her first time around 2 turns. I totally agree with Pete. I think this horse can easily wire this field. My only concern with Infinite Potential is I think, Chad Brown's best horses are not breaking their maiden in the middle of their 4-year-old season. I'm not saying she can't win. All I'm saying is I'm not sure the 5 has infinite potential. So pun intended there. I'm using the 6 evenly. We should mention before we go on the 8, American Parade, who I believe one of you had in third. I can't. Was that Jeff?
Yeah.
Did you have?
No, that's me. It's
Pete. This horse cost $975,000 for Shug, and he does not run horses, by the way, back really quickly. In fact, I looked up the stats. I don't know if you looked this up too, Pete, but for American Parade, he's only run 5 horses back with a 7 to 10 day layoff in his entire career, and he's won with 2 of them. So I'm not sure why he didn't start this horse on turf. Pete, I don't know if you want to talk a little more, but I wouldn't be shocked if this horse wins, but I do not like the morning line, by the way, at all.
No, that's what I thought for some reason it would be higher. So that's sort of, because I handicapped before before the morning
Yeah,
lines.
I think we all did. They didn't come out until about 2:00 today.
Yeah, so, but I honestly had the same stats. So the wheeling back in 7 days was odd to me, so I didn't know if that was a good thing because it's not something Shug is normally going to do. And I had the same stat. I had 2 for 4 and 4 for 4 in the money off like 1 to 10 day layoff. The last one I think was in 2018, so it may not be that relevant, but it's still, I mean, you don't have much else to go on. And if he was a higher price, or I guess if she was a higher price,
yeah,
I think that would have been a decent angle. But if you get 4 to 1, I'm not sure. But hey, I'd still take it if it came through.
I think for those of you at home, I think all of us are pretty much going with the Moto Obvious 5, and 6. How you want to weigh those is up to you. I don't think the 7 is absolutely impossible. I don't think the 8's impossible. Again, if you're interested in my ABC ticket, please make sure you look into the race day blog, folks, that I have available for you. Again, you can look at the description below the video player after the show to learn more about the race day blog, which, by the way, on Belmont Day, we hit the pick 5 on the race day blog for $660. So again, it's been a very popular blog. My early opinions, to be honest, were not very good, but I think a lot of people lost money early part of the Belmont Stakes Day. We've got a few comments here. I just want to mention Brian Piscopo, thanks for joining the show. Yes, Maggie Wolfendale was awesome. In fact, Maggie Wolfendale mentions a horse that she hated today that was 3 to 1, and the horse lost by 25 lengths. I mean, Maggie Wolfendale has a really good eye. Brian, thank you for joining the show. He likes Nick Luck as well. And C Money likes Michelle Yu. Yeah, I had Michelle Yu on the show. She was fantastic. All right, let's go on to the next race here as I set up race 6 here. Give me just 1 second. Or excuse me, race 7. Jack will have you go ahead and talk first about race 7. This is a 7. Or did you go first last time? I'm sorry. Jack, was that you first last time?
Yes.
Okay, we'll have Pete go first. I'm sorry. Pete, I'll have you go first. I'll put up our picks in just a second. This is an N1X, 7 furlongs on the dirt. This is a field of 9. I'll go ahead and let you talk first, Pete, and then I'll put up the picks so that we're not covering your face as the picks come up. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go out to the 9 first. So Whispering Pines didn't necessarily, maybe on paper isn't necessarily, because that last speed figure was so bad that I was hoping. This is another one where I was hoping to get a bigger price on the morning line, but that last speed figure was so bad. But when I looked, the race 2 back, where he ran second, Ant Cat's sort of a monster. And basically I think there were 2 strong winners that came out of that last race before. And then what I thought was maybe at the 6 furlongs was just a little too sharp for this horse, and it just got away. But now stretching back out a little bit, switching to Ortiz, I just feel like this distance, and if you can get the race from 2 back, I think you can get this horse home and hopefully get a decent price, because this is a pretty even field. So I think the morning line could go up a little bit, hopefully.
And by the way, you're the only person of the 4 of us that has the 9 in first. I'll go ahead and show the picks again. I apologize, Pete, for the picks covering your face there. Kyle, I'll let you go next. You have the 1, which is a very interesting horse coming off a big layoff.
But I definitely agree with Pete in that 6 furlongs was a little too sharp, I believe, for the 9. So I put her 3rd. But if she runs that race at Laurel again, she can win this race, no problem. I think too. But yeah, I went for the 1 in Treat, which for Chad Brown, which again, Chad Brown, no issue being off the layoff, in my opinion. She ran a really nice race back at Churchill back last year, earning a 73 buyer with Gaffleone up. Bet 4 to 1. She was pinched hard, I believe, at the start, and she was still able to rally from 5th place, about 3 back, able to come home into a pretty sharp pace, might I add, and she only got up by half a length. But I believe, if she can run that race again, especially with the pace setup for this race, there seems like a lot of speed and tactical speed to this race. If she can sit like she just did in that last race, about 3 back, I believe that she can win this field, no problem. But I also, again, saying like that, but if the 2 can get out of the gate and get on the lead with how fast that horse is, especially those last two races on the card, even though she lost with an 87 and an 88 buyer, I think she can also wire the field as well.
I just wanted to show this is the race that Intrigue comes out of, guys. Look how live this was. There were two next out winners. Two horses finished in second. So 4 of these horses came back and either won or got second. I don't have time or frankly desire to watch the replay. You cannot watch Churchill replays through DRF, but for those of you at home that either not going to have time to watch the replay, let me tell you that this horse is pretty impressive. She's a big horse. So I think maybe Chad Brown's just giving her a little bit of time. But like Kyle said, she was pretty impressive, came pretty wide, and for a first-time starter, I thought she was very professional. So Kyle has the one Intrigue. Jack, why don't you go with your selection?
Sure. I do like Intrigue. The one I had him second here. The layoff does bother me a little bit, especially going to Belmont where that deep sandy can up and bite you if you're not tightened and properly conditioned. We know Chad Brown can get him there through the workout patterns, but I went to the 7 Halo City. Luis Saez seems to be in a zone right now. I think he might put some aggression into the horse. The horse with a pretty quick turnaround, May 29th at Belmont, made up 13 lengths, 92,000 in the slop. Broke the maiden in January and had 2 decent wins at Aqueduct. They put her in 2 stakes races at Aqueduct. It's a wide open race, but I just think Halo City might grind them down here. I kind of like the measure, and I think Saez may have the horse a little forwardly placed and still get the kick out of her.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're going to get more than 10 to 1, I think, on Halo City. So good luck with that horse.
Yeah,
I've got the two.
Yeah,
I've got the 2 Love and Love here. I like the tag. I'm a sucker for turnbacks. I think 7 Furlongs hits this horse right between the eyes. She is a New York bred, but she's awfully good right now against some horses that are a bit unproven in my mind. It sure looks like Cancel's going to give her a very good trip, and I think she has a big shot in this race. I've got the 1 second. I agree with everything that Kyle said. By the way, here's a stat, guys. Chad Brown with a coming off the layoff 6 months or more with off a winning debut 36%. So I was worried a little bit about the layoff too until I looked at some stats. I'm not sure if she's ouchy. I'm not sure what happened. I don't know why the long layoff. In Chad, I trust with Rosario. And then I have the 6, which no one really has mentioned yet, Subsidiary. If anyone has been paying attention, Orlando Noda has been absolutely outstanding in New York. And I don't know where that last race came from. And normally I would just dismiss this horse completely. However, she's got another real good work since. She ran a huge number last time, and I am not going to let Subsidiary beat me out of the pick 5, so I'm using her as well. A very interesting race.
Yeah, Howard. I was going to say, Howard, I like the same thing there, where normally that big jump in buyer would be concerning, but when you come back with a strong work, and it's because it's with a new trainer. Like if it was the same trainer and you had that jump, then maybe it'll be a little odd. And real quick, one thing on the 1, if you don't mind, I had one weird stat.
Sure. Go ahead.
Rosario and Brown combination. I had, and this is one you could throw out the window probably. 0 for 8 in Belmont dirt sprints, and 6 for 8 in the money, but 0 for 8 on top. So it's one of those where you see it and you go, well, that's weird, and it's a small sample size, but I usually flag them just in case I need to nitpick a horse and really find a way to do it. But
that is interesting, but as a math teacher, I say it's a pretty small sample size.
Yes.
However, I did quote a Shug who only had 5 runners before, so I guess I can't contradict myself and start talking about sample size with less than 10 races. Let's go on to race 8. We're going to let Kyle talk about race 8 first. This is a small field, but a very competitive field. It's the Dancin' Renee. It's a $100,000 dirt race for New York bred older fillies and mares. They're going 6 furlongs. There are 6 horses in this field, but I'll tell you what, I thought almost any one of these horses can win. I'll go ahead and put there's the picks up so everyone can see. Kyle, you've got the 6 as actually Pete does also. So Jack and I are going to tell you why you guys are wrong here in just a few minutes, because Jack and I agree. But Pete and Kyle, you can gang up on us. I'll let Kyle, you go first on the number 6 Espresso Shot.
As much as I wanted to pick the 5 Sadie Lady on top, I actually think the pace sets up well more for Espresso Shot. I think just the last race out at Belmont in the mud was, I think, one, a little bit too much to ask for this horse. And I think the turn back in class, I think, and going back to the fast dirt as I looked, I don't think there's any weather coming into Belmont for the next few days.
It's going to be fine all weekend, by the way,
So,
for everyone. Yep.
I think going back to the fast dirt and turning that back from the 200K to the 100K, I feel like is going to be a much needed class relief for this horse. And like I said, I feel like the pace structure sets up really well for her. And I know you guys picked the 3 on top as well. And I also wanted to pick the 3, but the only thing that I saw that kind of drew me away from the horse was in her most recent efforts at Belmont have been on the wet dirt. They've been she got second at the 200K on the mud on good at 7 furlongs. She won by 6 1/4 at a 40K. And then on July 11th of 2020 on good dirt as well, she won by 3 1/4. So I'm just trying to find a way to decipher some horses. And that was what I landed on, that she's only 2 for 7 in the money on fast dirt and has never won on fast dirt. So that's what drew me away for a little bit. But yeah, I think the pace structure sets up well for the 6.
It's a very good point. Good Credence will be praying for rain, but it's not going to be happening according to the weather forecast for sure. Jack, go ahead with your let's actually, Pete, I'll let you go ahead and back up your selection with Kyle or anything else you'd like to talk about.
Yeah, actually, I'm almost repeating everything. Mine were the same thing as Kyle talked about. With Espresso Shot, I looked at as just taking a chance, because if you throw out those 2 mud races and you just sort of drew a line through them, then you get the 86 to a 90 buyer with 2 wins on a fast track. My concern was a little bit with maybe this might be a little sharp to cut back maybe a little bit, but again, I think there's enough pace up front where I think if this horse runs that 2nd race back or that 4th race back, I think has a really good shot to win. My same thing with the 3. I had bet that race because I had the winner that the last race the 3 was in. So I knew the race, and then when I saw the wet, and that's what just threw me away from the 3. But I almost think this is an all race. If you're skinny on any other legs, I think you could just go all here just to get through it, because I really think you can find a little bit of fault with every horse, but you can also make a good case for everyone.
All right, Jack. Now you gotta represent for you and me. Please tell Pete and Kyle why they are completely wrong about the 3 Good Credence.
Well, the fact that the horse fired at back-to-back stakes at a mile, and what I really like is they came back with 3 straight 5 furlong workouts. I think that's to bring the horse back to the distance and tighten on the screws. We know he can get further than 6 because he blew the doors out of that 7 furlong race. And yes, the mud and the good, but out of Jimmy Creed, I'm not that concerned about that issue. I think at Belmont it plays a little softer on the dirt anyway. And I just think the horses, those cutbacks off back-to-back stakes, tried their hand against Latruska, for goodness sakes. May 31st, Belmont steady on the pace in that mud. And going back even in July 20, this horse wired a horse called Bustin' Scones, who impressed me quite a bit running at Saratoga and had a hot hand for a while. So I'll take my chances with Good Credence here. I think Alvarado's going to be hustling, get her to the wire.
I just want to back up, obviously, what Jack said, make a few points. Pete and Kyle, your wet track points are completely taken. There's 2 things I like about this horse a lot. Number one is the turn back. I like turn backs. Number 2 is she's second off a pretty long layoff. There's no work since the last, so this almost feels like, I wouldn't say that last race was a prep for this because that was a stake race. But I think this race really sets up well because you know the 4 and 5 are going to go, or at least you think they're going to go. And I think this sets up for a stalker, and I think the 3 could set an absolutely perfect trip behind those two, and I like the second off the layoff. And unlike a lot of these other horses, I think this horse is on the improve. I mean, look at the buyers: 80, 81. First time as a 4-year-old filly, 83. I can easily see her jumping up to a mid to high 80s buyer here. So that's my top choice. Let's just talk as a group real quickly about the 4 and 5. Kyle, I'll let you go first. Is the 5 going to outbreak the 4, or do you think they're going to battle? By the early time form, the 5 is faster, but you've got to believe that Rosario is going to be sending also on the 4, wouldn't you think?
Yes, I completely agree with that, which is why I didn't end up picking the 5 on top. I think the 5 will, because she does seem like the faster horse, will outlast the 4, which is why I didn't choose the 4 in my top 3. But I do believe that I don't think Jose Ortiz and Joel Rosario are going to be hooked up into a pace duel necessarily, just because of how good those two are. But I do believe that the 5 and the 4 are going to break together, and they are going to go off the lead, especially at such a short sprint at 6 furlongs.
Pete, let me play a little devil's advocate on the 6. I have the 6, by the way, as a seahorse in this race. I don't think the distance suits this horse at all. When you take a look at the 6, and tell me that I'm wrong, Pete. I'd love to hear your opinion. I respect your handicapping. This horse does not strike to me to be a 6 furlong horse, number one. Number two, this 6 has never been involved in fast pace scenario. I know when he ran that 79 or that 86 going 6.5 or 7, but I mean, look at the fractions. That was the 7 furlong race where she got a really good number. That was 23 and 3 and 47 and 2. So are you confident that she can close big into a 6 furlong race that appears to have fast fractions involved?
No, not at all. Actually, I have no confidence in any of the choices.
We appreciate your honesty.
Because I think it's and sorry, Kyle.
No, it's fine. I'm just messing with you.
To pee on our horse ears, but my whole thought was, again, I think if any of them get the right trip, then I think all of them can win this race. And I was just hoping that the 6, even though it is a cutback, if they do, the 4 and the 5 do duel a bit on the front end. The 3 will get the jump, but maybe the 6 can get in a good spot and sort of follow the 3 and get behind it. But again, in all honesty, depending on what the rest of my ticket looked like, I would almost just say the hell with it and just go with all of them in this one.
I do want to point out to everyone that the 5, by the way, who I don't love in this spot, I think he's a little bit overrated. She has been in open company the last 3, and this is obviously New York bred. Pete, you and I, there's a horse that we haven't talked about yet. You and I, Pete, both have the 1 for second. Do you want to talk about Fierce Lady, and then I'll let Kyle or Jack talk about why they do or do not like Fierce Lady?
Yeah, sure. And again, this was more of a hunch where I like the jump in the buyer after the trainer switch to maybe say, hey, there is a reason for it, and it wasn't just a lucky buyer jump. And then I had a stat that Brittany Russell was about 35% on non-graded state dirt sprints with a winner last out. So again, if I see a decent stat and I get a horse that's a decent price in a short field, who's from the rail, I like Saez picking this horse up. I just feel like there's a lot of things that for a 6-1 morning line make some sense, and I think this horse could just be right in the mix and maybe just sit right off the speed as well, and maybe just sneak in up the rail against these horses.
Yeah. I by the way, I don't think we're in 6-1 on Fierce Lady, but another angle, again, this is a newly turned 4-year-old, second time off the layoff. Mm-hmm. That was another angle that I liked on Fierce Lady. Jack or Kyle, do you guys want to talk about your opinions on the 1? Either one of you?
Well, I had the 1 third here. I do second off the layoff, an ambitious move off the mid-level optional claiming. Saez, as I say, he's kind of in a zone, so I don't have any problem. I think I do give him a shot to come up that rail if it's open. It's the right time to step up. The works have been pretty good. He did fare pretty well against the 3 good Credence September of 20. So I give the horse a shot, but I just think going to be a little bit late and a little too much to do.
Kyle, let me ask you a good horizontal question. I'm sure you once in a while have some people come up to you in Arlington and say, I want to play a pick 3 or a pick 4. How many horses should I use? Kyle, you've got a 6-horse field here. If you were recommending to someone, let's say they're playing a caveman ticket, which I highly don't recommend. You should be using ABC. Well, let's just say for our beginning players out there, or people that are listening, Kyle, in your opinion, how deep would you go on a horizontal caveman ticket here?
Personally, it depends for me on the other legs. If the other legs, like I think Pete said earlier, if they're skinny, I do believe in a field like this where you can hit the all button. But if the other, if with this sequence, if it's a tough, you have to take a stand here, and that's just whether that's taking two of the horses that you really like, if you really like a single or something. I think if you feel the need to have to spread in the other races, I feel like you have to take a stand here with either a single or two horses.
I agree with him. I would personally probably, I would be comfortable with 2 deep with 1-3 personally. Maybe I'd throw the 5 in there. I don't like the 6, although I completely respect the opinions from Pete and Kyle, and I have a hard time seeing the 4 winning only because of the speed factor of the 5. But listen, I think anyone basically but the 2 wouldn't shock me in this race. So this is definitely a tough
I had the 2. I had the 2 on the board though, just for the 2 was my third pick, just for posterity's sake. I'll mention that.
All right, I'm not going to talk about the 2, but I'll just show everyone the 2. So you can please comment later to if you know if you know Pete's Twitter handle or whatever. Please comment. No, I'm just kidding, Pete. Listen, if the 4 and 5 hook up, I think anything can happen in this race, literally. Yeah. So we'll have to see. All right, guys, we've got 2 very difficult races left to handicap, especially the 9th race. So let's go ahead and go to the 9th race. Just for the record, my least favorite type of race is turf sprints. I do not like turf sprints in general. I don't mind 6 furlong turf sprints, I guess, but 5.5, I'm not a big fan. This is on the inner. It's an optional 80 claimer N2X. It's on the inner turf. They're going 6 furlongs. Like Kyle mentioned, the weather is going to be fine the next few days. The turf is getting very firm out there again after a lot of rain. I'm going to let Kyle go first here in what I think is a very wide open race. Let me go ahead and get our picks up on the screen. Of course, the gentlemen here have not seen each other's picks, so I'm sure they're anxious to see what everyone thought of. You're going to see just how different people are. This is a very difficult race. In fact, I have 2 horses in my top 3 that neither one of these guys have at all of their trifecta, so I'm either going to be very wrong or very right. Kyle, you got the 10 on top. Why don't you talk about this race?
For me, and especially a race like this, it comes down to trying to find a key race. And for me, it is that last time out, that optional claiming for 80K that had, I believe, 4 of these.
We already show the replay,
horses.
by the way, in a minute, Kyle. Sorry to interrupt you. We already show the replay after you're done talking.
Yeah, no problem. So for me, I wanted to pick Battle Station on top as he was the winner of that key race, and he did get a really good trip into that. He had the inside rail, and he was able to tip out easily and beat him out at the end by 3/4 of a length. But I actually went with this 10. I went with Corky. And the sole reason that Shecky Shabazz in that race, I believe, got the lead pretty easily. He broke out the gate really well.
Let's go ahead and just wind through this whole race. So
you're good.
I'll let you talk about the race. So the 4 is Battle Station. The 6 is Kyle's top choice, Quarky. The 3, who got in some trouble in this race, is Ghoul.
Yep.
And the 5 is Holiday Stone. So as Kyle talks through the race, ladies and gentlemen, what you want to watch here is the 3, 4, 5, and 6. We'll just go ahead and roll through the whole race, Kyle. I'll let you talk about it. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Go ahead.
So then, like I was talking about, I believe the 8 gets out really well here. Yeah, he shoots out of there like a rocket. So he's going to get the pace pretty much to himself. I know that the 6 is going to stay near, and then the fast getaway, the 9, a decent long shot in this race, is going to go with him. And then these fractions are actually going to be pretty quick. They go about 22 flat, and then they go about 44 and 2. So the pace is going to be a little hot, which I think sets up perfectly for Battle Station, who's kind of sitting 4 or 5.
Sorry, all the horses are on the inside, which obviously you want to save ground in general in turf sprint. So the 3, 4, and 6 are all on the inside. The only horse that's coming wide is the 5 Holiday Stone. Go ahead, Kyle.
Yep, you're good. No problem. And like you mentioned, actually, the 3 in this race, Ghoul, I actually put him third. I actually really do like him in this spot as well. And as they come down the stretch, you'll see what Howard was talking about, where he ran into some trouble. He got pinched really hard near the end, which killed all his momentum, which led to him
So
finishing 5th.
sorry, so right there. So Quirky's got a dream trip, tips out in between. The Holiday Stone is 4 wide. You see Battle Station sitting absolutely perfectly in behind the 4 in battle leaders, and then you have Ghoul behind him, who's going to try to find room in the stretch. Go ahead, Kyle.
Yep. So you can see they're pretty much 4 across the track here, and Shecky Shabazz is going to kick away just a little bit, and that's my top pick, Quirky, in there. He kind of flattens a little bit there in the beginning, and Battle Station's going to come and split between horses right here, and he's going to end up winning this race. And you'll see the 3 who's kind of in between horses behind the wall.
Let's watch that again.
Yeah.
Go ahead. He's right. The 3 is right here.
Yeah, you can see that he's going to try and split between, and then he's going to get caught right there. Yep.
Shut the door. Yep.
They shut the door, and that killed all of his momentum. So I believe that he could have easily gotten up for at least show, if not to try and get a length back of the 4. But which is why I actually ended up picking him third in that race, because he was closing very well. Even though it was a hot pace, I believe that the 3 has a good shot in here. But yeah, I ended up going for that key race. I ended up going Quirky, which is the 10, Battle Station, and then Ghoul.
So let's go ahead and take a look at Battle Station. Got a perfect trip. I'm sorry I don't have the picks in front of me. Jack, we'll go to you. What's your opinion of Battle Station? Is he going to repeat off that last effort?
I think so, Howard. I got Battle Station on top.
Okay.
I actually bet that race, Shecky Shabazz, and I thought I had it wrapped up, and Kendrick Carmouche blew by me like I was standing still. And I watched Carmouche's attitude after that race, and it was kind of cocky. You know, he was kind of nodding like, man, I had this one. Y'all just didn't even know. So I think he's got a loaded horse. I don't think that race took anything out of him. I think there's enough speed to set him up. He spotted well here with fractions at 6 furlongs on 520, beat Shecky and Quirky. As I say, Carmouche, I believe he thought he had him well in hand, and certainly to my eyeballs, that seemed to be the case. I like Rob Atras. Put him in a turf sprint invitational October of 20 at Belmont, and a turf sprint championship November of 20. So I think this horse is hot. I think you're looking at a back-to-back situation. Manny Franco's due for a good one, and I'll take this. As I like to say, take that 7-2 if you can get it, and run to your vehicle.
By the way, we do have a lot of people watching. I really appreciate. I know there are not a lot of comments because people have not looked at the form like we have. So I appreciate everyone watching. Again, if you're going to watch a replay, please comment down below any opinions you have of this Pick 5 sequence, any opinions about the show, things you'd like to see, any changes, things you really enjoy. Please comment below the video player. Pete, you have Ghoul on top. Absolutely got in some trouble last time for sure.
Yeah, and I guess watching the replays what sort of did it, because I just thought, and this is one of those races where I think those horses from that last race that we just watched, they seem like the kind of horses that none's really all that much better than the others. So it seems like they could be just one of those that, you know, next time out, one of them wins, the next time out, another one wins, whoever gets the best trip. But I did just like the fact that the got pinched, looked like it was making a move. I did have a bad stat, which I hate when I dig up a horse and then I dig up a stat that sort of goes against the horse that I like on top. I had Peter Miller was 0 for 11 the last 2 years, second off a 60 to 90 day layoff in turf sprints. So again, that's a super specific, super granular stat. But
you got to come to my math class. I don't know if you guys know, but I think some of you know I'm a full-time math teacher. School's over this year, but Pete, you got to come to my class. You're throwing out the stats. I love it.
Well, you know, it's one of those things where I love the fact, and I like sort of the Brisnet PPs too, because they'll throw a stat out there for a trainer, but they keep it a little too broad sometimes, and they don't get the specifics of the race. And then when you get to the specifics of the race, you're like, oh, wow. So, again, not to go too much into Ghoul, I just like the fact that maybe it's his turn. I like the move that was being made, was the favorite last time too. So actually, you know, was well bet, well liked, and looked like it was making a decent move. Can't argue with anything Jack said about Battle Station, though. Two-back Battle Station had some troubles in their race. I don't know if you watched that one, but Quarky, there was a big piece of debris on the track.
Yeah, it was really weird.
It drove out a path and cut Battle Station off. So Battle Station could have been off a 2-race winning streak, and would have been the favorite, a low favorite maybe in this race.
Yeah. So I got to defend my honor here, guys. So let me tell you about my selections here. First of all, Battle Station, there's no humanly possible way this horse can get as good a trip as he got last time. So I just cannot. Obviously, Battle Station can win, but I can't put this horse on top, and I'm going to try to beat him. And the same thing with Quarky. What was Quarky's excuses? I mean, I didn't see any excuses at all. So I'm a little negative to both those. So I was searching around for some horses that are maybe not coming out of that race. The number 1 Gilsman has been facing absolute monsters in his last 2. Maven and Boldor are very good horses. Then he was in the turf sprint at Churchill against Fast Boat and Sombaye. I think this horse, if you take a look at Gilsman carefully, his best races are at 6. He ran very well last fall at Kentucky Downs and at Woodbine, going 6 and 6.5. I think this is the kind of horse that wants to go longer than 5.5. I think he'll like even though it's on the inner, these turns are still, pretty wide and sweeping. I love Junior Ortiz in this spot. I think he might get 9-2. I know there's not a lot of speed in this race, but based on who he's faced, I am very, very interested in Gilsman. I think he's better than he looks. And frankly, guys, I'm looking for a horse that is not coming out of the races that we watched. I believe Ghoul can easily win. We all saw the trouble there. The other horse I want to mention that no one has talked about, and folks, this could be a complete shot in the dark. I don't know about you, but when I lose turf races, it's almost a wire job, especially New York. I don't know how many times I've lost a pick 4 or a pick 5, guys, because a horse wires the field in New York. I have no idea if Ragtime Blues can get the turf. He does have a little bit of turf breeding, but I know what this horse does have. He used to have a ton of early speed when he was trained by Baffert last year. I actually bet him 2 back at Keeneland when he went way too far, going a mile 16th, and ran very well against Big Dreaming and Sonneman. Last time at Aqueduct, and this was his first effort for Terra Nova. I just want to show everyone. I'm not going to show the replay, but look who he faced. He faced Mitres Porciento. Look at the buyers in this horse. 94, 96, 85. A very nice horse. And was also battling with Wicked Trick, who just ran in the True North, was very good in the Westchester. So here's what I'm going to say about this race. Ragtime Blues might finish last in this race. However, if he likes the turf and they send aggressively, I see no reason why this horse cannot get the lead. And if he gets the lead, I think Ragtime Blues is a very interesting bomb play in this race. I have him for 3rd. I would definitely use him defensively in your pick 5s, just my opinion. I'm trying to beat sort of the Moto obvious horses in this race with either Gilsman or Ragtime Blues, but I am using many, many horses in this race. Last thing I'll just mention, the 12 on the outside, who looks very good on paper, Duress, is 3-1. Tom Albatrani, 3 for 33 off this kind of layoff. 3 for 33 off this kind of layoff for Tom Albatrani. This horse can win, but he's not real good off layoff, so I'd be a little bit negative. Plus, again, the outside post I think can be tricky. All right, I said my piece. It's a very difficult race. You could go a lot of ways. Speaking of difficult, wow, this pick 5 ends with a complete cluster, gentlemen. Mile 16th, turf, fillies and mares, 3-year-old and up, state breds, maiden 40. Wow. Jack, I'm going to let you start in what I think you could probably use 7, 8, 9 horses in this race. How are you going to close out this sequence, Jack?
Ooh, the all button looks awfully good here, I'll tell you. I mean,
all right, we'll just end the show there. Everyone hit the all button. Have a great day. You're not going to have to spend $300 more. We'll see you next week. Now, go ahead, Jack.
No, it's kind of the best of the worst for me. nobody really jumped off the page or impressed me with much of anything. So I just took what appeared to be a little consistency and Memories Eternal, the 11.
By the way, Jack, I don't know if you saw the picks, but all three of you, except for Dummy, I'm pointing myself, I'm the only one. I don't even have the 11 in my top three. Go ahead, Jack.
I can't believe we all picked the 0 for 12 horse on top. That's kind of funny.
Oh, I'm going to make fun of you guys in just a minute. Don't you worry. Go ahead. I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Jack.
Worst race on the card, and we're all in conjunction. You got But the consistency is there, at least at 40,000 on the maiden, albeit one off the turf. The horse is out of Magician, so there is some backdoor breeding there. There's some pretty good credentials in the bloodline. 6 for 12 in the money lifetime, 4 of 8 on the turf. The works are slow, but the race appears very weak. May 9th, Belmont, 6 furlong sprint to put the speed in her a little bit. So.
By the way, Jack, they thought so highly of this Magician horse that they bought it for $7,000. Just wanted to mention. Just giving you some crap, Jack. Listen, the reason why I'm giving you guys a little crap because we're having fun. I've got Serlin coming on next month. You know he's going to be giving it to me. So I got to dish it out to someone.
Right.
I'm sorry, Jack. Go ahead.
No, that's the only horse that I could just come up with, really.
Anything else you want to mention?
My second 2 shots were the 8 and the 6, which are first-time starters.
Yeah.
James Bond and Chris Clement. I think this race could be a bomb, and first-time starters sometimes will up and spank you in this situation.
This stat might make you happy, Jack. Christopher Clement, with first-time starters in for a tag. Ready? 19%. Not bad. I didn't think it'd be that good. Again, Clement's 19% with the first-time starter going long on turf in for a tag. So he can absolutely win this race.
Hey Howard, can I throw a stat back at you on that horse?
Please do.
You know, I like the real.
Oh, yeah.
In the weeds. I had Clement 0 for 11, first-time starter in turf roots in mating claimings at Belmont. So how's that
one? Wow. Pete's like, take this, Howard. I'll show you.
Well, again, with all, so
that is interesting, Pete. That's interesting.
I can't pick first-time starters to begin with, and I get the ones. I said this once, I think, on Matt's podcast too. I pick the ones who don't run, and they run dead last. So even if they look good, works are good. So I stink with first-time starters. So I was like, well, let me see if I can find one, and that's the stat I came across for the 6. I just wanted to throw it out there.
Listen, it's worth mentioning. Obviously, his best horses at Belmont are in main special weights. That is very interesting. I'm going to let Kyle. Kyle hasn't had as much chance here. Kyle, why don't you talk? I don't know if you want to back up your pick on the 11. Are there some other horses you think they're interesting here?
I'm gonna definitely I'm gonna mention something on the 11 right now. At least every other race dating back to July 30th to 2020 have been in a 1.16 on the turf, and he has been going up. His first one was at 16,000, which he got second by 2 lengths, but he was very game on that race. He came from just outside of the winner, and he was very game in that race. He goes up to 40,000. It goes off the turf, but then it goes back on the turf at Belmont. He gets third by 1.5. He closed really well in that race after being way outside on the backstretch. And then he goes to Aqueduct on November 22nd of 2020 at a 1.16 on the grass, gets second again by 2, and he was easily the second best of that race. So just, again, trying to pick the best out of what we got. And even though the horse is 0 for 12, I think his best starts are at this distance on the surface. And, I mean, there's not very many and good buyers at all in this race, and his lowest is at this distance and surface is a 53. So,
Kyle, let's talk about some other horses. You've got the 4 in second and the 12 in third. Let's briefly touch on those, and then Pete, I'll let you talk about a few, and then I'll close it out.
Yep. So then I'm just going to talk about the 4 real quick. So then they had him in special weight for 3 straight races. He didn't do a whole lot. He did a little bit on the third race at 70K at 45-1. He kept on pretty well, holding the show, but after they dropped him, they put him at Belmont at 40,000 at this level. They put Lasix on him, and he's had 2 decent third places. 2 decent shows. He weakened late in both races. So I think just taking a shot at someone who I think can set the pace up really well. Like I said, he might not win, but he's definitely, I think he's going to be there for sure.
And obviously there's nothing wrong with speed on the turf, especially when that turf course gets very firm as well. And you've got was it the 12 and third, I believe?
Yeah. So to Memories Eternal outside, which is really psyched. And again, just trying to take a shot. They tried to stretch him out last time. He was under it says it actually in the side notes. He was very outside on the upper part of the track, and he was under mild handling in the stretch. So again, going back to the horse in one of the first races we talked about, where Joel Rosario kind of was under mild handling in the stretch, where he was a little bit farther back. Again, just trying to take a shot, trying to find something that I like, that we can kind of agree on. He ran like I said, mild handling last race. If he gets a good trip, if he can get back to the inside, I think he can have a shot.
Pete, you've got 2 horses in your trifecta that I actually also have in the trifecta with the 2 and the 5. So great minds, of course, think alike.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and talk about. I'll let you talk about the 2 and the 5.
Yeah, or we're doomed completely.
Yeah, or we're complete idiots. Could be that too.
Okay, so let me jump to the 2 real quick. So
yeah, Sweet Franny Lou.
Yeah, basically, when I looked at it, I thought, again, when you're picking that a junk like this, I thought the pedigree was okay. There was a decent turf pedigree, even though it's never been on the turf, but the pedigree looked pretty good. And I had a stat that Morley was 5 for 15 first time on the turf in a route race in maiden claimers. So I was like, you know what? That's good enough for me. 6-1 shot. Maybe this horse with the pedigree, with the trainer who's okay in this scenario, maybe that's enough to, decent post. So should work out a decent trip.
By the way, Pete, since you call these horses junk, I think I just lost my NIVER sponsorship. But thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
I apologize. Well, they didn't make the horses, so it's not their fault.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead. And,
so
and then the 5.
That's pretty much it on the 2. Yeah, the 5 was more of a nothing. It was a Pletcher. It was it's Pletcher, Castellano. The horse was so bad last time that I thought maybe it gets a shot. Although I did have a stat that Pletcher's 1 for 10 second start on the turf with a drop from maiden special weight. So again, every time you look at one of these horses, there's a negative. So at 9-2, again, this was one of those ones where I'm like, maybe this will be a price. Should have known better with Pletcher, but I don't have a great case. It was just one that I was like, it's Pletcher, so maybe he can just train this horse up to this race.
I will mention that there's a huge jockey change on this 5, though. That's a big.
Oh yes. Sorry,
very big jockey change on the 5. Let me talk about my top pick. First of all, listen. Let me just say for full disclosure, when I lose the pick 5 on Saturday, because the 11 wins this race. The 11 has, like Kyle mentioned, and obviously this 11 has numbers that can win. Ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly the kind of horse I just cannot use as an A at all. I might use as a B. This horse is a 0 for 12 5-year-old who has an outside post in a murky pace situation. I know the horse can win. Oh, by the way, the trainer's 0 for 20 this year. Yep. So 0 for 20, 0 for 12, 5-year-old, blah, blah, blah. I just can't use the 11 very strongly. But yes, the 11 can win this race. Let me try to sell some people on the 10, Saigon, who, by the way, I think we all handicapped these races before we saw the morning line. I just want to show the replay of Saigon. And Andy Serling, by the way, made a great call today on a horse that won at 17-1 that had all sorts of interesting trouble. And this horse reminds me of that horse that won today. So I want to take a look at this last replay. You see there are 4 horses that are racing on this race Saturday. They're coming out of this race. You can see them right there. Blind Sight, Really Psyched, Stormcat Lady, and then Saigon, who, yes, was 43-1. Again, pay attention to the 2, 5, 6, and 10. But I especially want everyone to pay attention to the 5, 6, and 10. By the way, the 10 is Really Psyched, who Kyle mentioned as one of his possible picks. Watch the 5 horse in this race. Had all sorts of trouble. Again, 5, 6, and 10. Let's go back to the break. First of all, you see right there, he got steadied back and already lost about 2 or 3 lengths, and then he's going to get steadied again. He's up the inside on this bend. You see right there. You see he's right there. He's rank. He's rank, or she, I'm sorry, rank, and is steady back. Look at the stranglehold on this horse.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this horse wants to run, and she just gets strangled all the way back. I'm going to go and fast forward now, because that's not the only trouble she has. We'll watch the stretch again, 5, 6, and 10. There's the 10 and 6. You're going to see the 5 again. Sort of has his head turned, just all over the place. Really just strange. I think there's more trouble. I can't recall. Maybe not. But I think this horse runs on in between horses. And in all, I'm just going to show the end here. There was the end. I don't know if you guys saw that right at the end. Again, the 5, 6, and 10 are in this race. So these horses up front aren't in this race. And you watch the 5 try to split at the end. And you see right there just even more trouble. So, again, I'm not saying the 5 is a likely winner. But I think you could honestly say the 5 had a good 4 or 5 lengths of trouble in that race. And the 5 got the 10, first time out, got a 50 buyer, now puts the blinkers on for an aggressive jockey. So listen, I'm throwing the 10 in there as a possibility. I wouldn't surprise me at all. This race is absolutely wide open. I just wanted to show that replay just in case the 10 ends up winning at 15-1 and everyone thinks I'm crazy, because I have done it before. So again, my picks, just to show everyone, I've got 2, 10, 5. I didn't talk about the 2, but I like what Pete had to say. I think she's got inside speed in a very wide open race. You could go many, many different ways in this race, completely wide open. All right, we're getting close to the end of the show. I'm going to show everyone my caveman ticket here. Again, this is just my personal caveman ticket. It's a bit expensive. I don't recommend everyone play it. I know Kyle, Jack, and Pete are now seeing this for the first time. If I were to play a caveman ticket, that's what I would go. I would just go 5, 6 at the beginning with 1, 2, 6. I would just go with 2 horses. That's Fierce Lady and Good Credence, the 3 in the stake race we talked about. I'm very deep in the sprint. I think that's the deepest race that you have to go. And I would just absolutely pray to the horse racing gods and go 3 deep on the end. I'm going to end the handicapping segment here with a quick whip around. Kyle, I'm going to let you go first. Who would you sort of weigh on heavily in the sequence if you had to do so?
Let's see if I go back.
Put you on the spot there. Would it be the 5 in the first race, or not necessarily?
Honestly, no. I was on your boat in the first race. I almost want to lay, as much as it's not probably. I'm probably going to get chewed out for this. I would think Entreat has a good shot, even though off that really long layoff.
That's the 1 in the 7 furlong allowance race. Okay.
Correct. I think even off that layoff, I still think she's got a good shot.
All right, Jack, is there a horse that I think you said you might single the 5 there in the first race, which obviously is not a bad idea.
I do like the 5 for a single in race 6, Infinite Potential. If I didn't go a single there, I probably would lean on Good Credence, the 3 in the race 8. I think that horse is sitting on a good one, and that would be my second single look. And I really do like. I think Halo City in race 7 is sneaky. As you say, I might catch a 10-1 and blow the thing up right there. Although I think a bomb's probably coming in race 10, but Halo City might slip through the cracks. The 7 in race 7.
Pete, any general opinions about? I know you talked about the sequence as a whole, but is there a single? Is there a price horse you really like in the sequence?
Not really. I would probably, what I would maybe do is do sort of a bigger spread ticket for maybe like a 50-cent ticket, and then try to do sort of a bigger price ticket and maybe single the 5 in the first leg just to see if I can, catch one of my longer shots down the road. But I would do probably a 2 ticket, because I don't have confidence that any of these are sort of single really worthy.
Pete, if someone asks you, what's your opinion on singling the 5 on a pick 5, and if she loses, just go ahead and play the pick 4? Do you have an opinion on that?
All the time. Yeah, all the time. It's funny because I say single in the first leg. It's usually the leg I hate to single in, just because you want to get through. There's nothing more demoralizing than losing that first leg. But I'm 100% with you. Lose the first one, go down swinging, and then you could come back, especially if you have prices. And we see how that 10th race is wide open, the 9th race is wide open, so you could get a good pick 4. I think you're not going to get a cheap pick 4 ticket, I don't think, on this day.
That's exactly what happened to me today. I sort of went thin in the first leg of the pick 5 at Belmont, lost, came back with my opinions in the pick 4, and it hit. So that can absolutely happen for sure. Gentlemen, this has been an absolute pleasure. I really hope you enjoyed being on the show. Those of you that are home, I hope you enjoy their opinions. There's a lot of different ways to go in this pick 5. This pick 5, I would almost for certain is going to pay at least $1,000. Even if the 5 wins the first race, I think it could still pay a lot. It's a very difficult sequence. Any closing thoughts? I'll whip around really quick. If a closing thought maybe on the Belmont or on 3-year-olds, horse racing in general. I'll let you guys have the last say, and then I'll take you off the screen and close out the show. Jack, I'll let you go first. Any closing thoughts?
Well, didn't the Triple Crown truly fly by rapidly? I mean, it seemed like we were just loading the starting gate for the Kentucky Derby. So disappointing for that break. I don't think we got to see Rock Your World really flash what he might have been able to do. He got out there and winged it. Essential Quality had a bump at the start, a real rough trip, 20 horse field. That's going to be doomsday more often than not. He just never seemed to get it clear until he got late in the lane, and even then he was only beat a length and a half. So I think moving forward, Essential Quality is going to be really somebody to watch. But the summer racing should be fascinating. We'll see if Baffert brings something to the Haskell, and what in the world, who's going to show up for the Travers. And I think we got Mandaloon going this week, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere.
Yep.
And I've had a lot of success at Del Mar, so I'm waiting and baiting for Del Mar to get loaded
I
up.
hope to get some good West Coast people on the show for Del Mar, Jack, when that time comes. Pete, any thoughts about the Triple Crown or anything going forward real quick?
No, I think it's just exciting for the summer. I think we see one thing that we see at the end of the Triple Crown is some of the horses start getting distributed now to where they probably want to do some, they probably want to get into races where they're more suited. So you'll see some go to the turf, you'll see some shorten up, and then you'll see the big boys sort of go to the Travers route and then eventually the Classic route. So I always like that where we sort of weeded out the weak, and now you're going to move forward. And you look forward for that at Saratoga and some of the other big races that are coming up.
Sure. Kyle, any thoughts on the Triple Crown or anything else going forward?
No, but like you said earlier, I believe like a lot of these people after the Triple Crown, they kind of go away from horse racing for a little while. But the summer racing, this 3-year-old crop is really going to pick up, especially like you said, with the Travers and the Haskell and all that. I believe it's going to be a massive 3-year-old to watch. And like I said, I've said it all the time, Essential Quality is finally able to run his race in the Belmont. And like I said, huge credits to Hot Rod Charlie to run in that race, which is just obscene, especially with those fractions. But Essential Quality, in my opinion, is the best 3-year-old. And like I said, can't wait for the summer.
I would just mention 2 things about the 3-year-olds. One is I'm very, very interested and excited to see Folsom move forward. I liked him a lot last time for Juddmonte. I think the horse is super talented. I think he's going to be a late blooming 3-year-old. And of course, there is one more horse. Have we heard of Life is Good, by the way,
Yes.
who will be coming back at some point? And I like Rock Your World as a horse. He's been very disappointing the last few starts. I hope Sadler puts him back on turf. I think he's very talented. I'd like to see him go back on turf. Kyle Roscoe, I'll see you tomorrow at Arlington.
will.
Pete and Jack, I hope to meet you guys in person sometime. Thank you guys. The show is not over, but I'll let you guys go ahead. Thank you very much for coming on the show. You really added a lot to it. Take care and good luck this weekend, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you for having us on.
Take care. All right, so folks, we've had a great show. Thank you very much. Let me just remind everyone a few things of coming up. Again, please subscribe to the Race Day blog. I really would appreciate if you support the channel by supporting the blog. It's a great deal. Again, below the video player, right after the show, will be detailed information in the description, again, below the video player. You can also find it in episode 45, I believe, below the video player. The next time Again, Tuesday, the plan is Tuesday morning, live, 7 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Central, or at the very least, you're going to want to tape and watch it. I'm going to have an excellent handicapper from the UK to talk about the big races at Ascot, Royal Ascot, on Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm playing Royal Ascot. It's an unbelievable meet. You definitely going to want to check out that live stream early in the morning on Tuesday, or at least watch the replay of it as well. And then also don't forget, you can follow me on inmoneypodcast.com with my Canterbury picks Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday. This has been Howard Kravitz for the HHH Racing Podcast. Thank you very much for joining me. Please comment below the video player. Good luck this weekend in your Belmont Pick 5. Take care, everyone. Good night.